Let me ask you something. You thought Chris Drury was done? You thought after everything that went down this offseason, Panarin gone, Trocheck shipped out, Dorify in, that the man was going to sit back, kick his feet up and call it a summer? Absolutely not. Because right now, as we speak, the New York Rangers rumor mill is spinning faster than it has all offseason, and the names being thrown around are not small names. We are talking about the kind of players that change franchises, the kind of players that turn also-rans into contenders overnight. So if you are a Rangers fan, you better strap in, because today we are breaking down every single thing that is happening in the Rangers universe right now, what it all means, and whether Chris Drury is genuinely about to pull off the most stunning move of his entire tenure as GM. Before we get into the rumors, let's get everybody on the same page because context matters here. The New York Rangers finished with the worst record in the entire Eastern Conference last season. Let that sink in. The same organization that had Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, Igor Shesterkin, and Adam Fox. The same team that was considered a legitimate Stanley Cup contender just a couple of years ago. Finished dead last in the East. That is a stunning collapse, and the pressure on Chris Drury entering this offseason was enormous. There were legitimate conversations about whether he would even keep his job. The fan base was furious. The media was calling for his head. And then something interesting happened. Drury went to work. First, the organization itself went through a change at the top. James Dolan passed control of the Rangers to his son, Quinton Dolan, and Drury now has a new boss to impress. And impress him he did. Within the first few days of free agency, Drury orchestrated a flurry of moves that completely shifted the narrative around this team. He traded veteran center Vincent Trocheck to the Utah Mammoth, finally clearing that cap space. He acquired Pavel Dorofeyev from the Vegas Golden Knights, a 37-goal scorer, and immediately locked him up on a long-term contract extension. He also brought in Sean Durzi as part of the Trocheck deal, added Marcus Pettersson on the blue line, and brought in Oliver Bjorkstrand on the wing. That is a lot of movement. That is a team that is clearly not rebuilding in the traditional sense. That is a team trying to reload and compete. But here is the thing, Drury is not done. Not even close. Now, before we get to the big rumors, we have to address the elephant in the room, Adam Fox. Because over the past few weeks, Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet reported that multiple teams had been calling the Rangers front office to inquire about the availability of the 28-year-old Norris Trophy winner. And you know what Drury told those teams? He told them to get lost. Exact words according to Friedman, get lost. Now, why were teams even asking? Well, there was some off-season drama involving Fox being left off Team USA's roster for the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, and both Drury and new head coach Mike Sullivan were heavily involved in those roster decisions. So naturally, there was speculation that Fox might have developed some friction with the organization. But Drury put that to rest instantly. Adam Fox is untouchable. He is the cornerstone of this defense, and shutting down those trade calls so quickly sends a very clear message. The Rangers are not blowing this thing up. They are building around their core pieces. And that means the next big move is almost certainly going to be addition by addition, not subtraction. Alright, here is where things get absolutely wild. Bleacher Report dropped a notebook, a full insider notebook, that named the New York Rangers as a primary landing spot for Quinn Hughes. Yes, that Quinn Hughes. Minnesota Wild superstar defenseman, former Norris Trophy winner, U.S. Olympic gold medalist, arguably one of the 5 best defensemen in the entire NHL. And before you write this off as clickbait, understand something. This is not the first time the Rangers have been connected to Hughes. Earlier this year, before Vancouver traded Hughes to Minnesota in that blockbuster deal centered around Marco Rossi, Zeev Byam, and Liam Ogren, the Rangers were reportedly involved in negotiations. According to insiders, Drury was heavily in the mix before the Wild swooped in with a massive package that the Canucks couldn't refuse. So now Hughes is in Minnesota, under contract at a very manageable $7.85 million per year through the 2026-27 season. And here is the ticking clock element that makes this whole thing so fascinating. Quinn Hughes and his brother Jack Hughes, who plays for the New Jersey Devils, share the same agent in Pat Brisson. There have been genuine conversations reported on record conversations about whether Quinn and Jack could potentially maneuver their contracts to become unrestricted free agents together in 2030, which would set up a scenario where the brothers could choose to play for the same team. And if that is the plan, if Quinn Hughes is essentially a rental in Minnesota, then Wild GM Bill Guerin knows he is sitting on a ticking time bomb. If he cannot get Quinn to commit long-term, he needs to trade him now while his leverage is still at its peak, because the moment it becomes public that Hughes won't re-sign, the return package collapses. And that is exactly why the Rangers are reportedly circling. Think about what a Fox and Hughes pairing on the Rangers' blue line would look like. You'd have Fox paired with Vladislav Gavrikov, and Hughes alongside someone like Will Borgen. That would instantly be one of the most talented defensive core in the entire NHL. Two Norris Trophy-caliber defensemen on the same team, both in their prime, both dynamic offensive threats, both elite two-way players. The hockey logic makes complete sense. The question is the price, and the price would be steep. Insiders have speculated that a package centered around Alexis Lafreniere, who makes $7.45 million through 2031-32, making the cap math work cleanly, combined with a first-round pick and a top prospect like Brennan Othmann could be the framework. But whether Drury is willing to give up that much, particularly given that the Rangers are already operating without first-round picks in 2028 and 2030 due to earlier trades, is the real question. One insider put it simply, don't be surprised if the Rangers don't just inquire, but take a genuine swing at getting their hands on Quinn Hughes. But wait, because there's another wrinkle that just dropped, and this one is significant for a completely different reason. Reports have emerged that defenseman Vladislav Gavrikov wants a trade out of New York. This is huge, because Gavrikov has been one of the better defensemen on this team for the past couple of seasons, and if he wants out, that changes Drury's calculus entirely on the blue line. If Gavrikov is available, then suddenly the Rangers potentially have trade chips that make them attractive partners in a Hughes conversation. They could potentially package Gavrikov in a deal, or move him separately to create cap flexibility and asset packages to go after another target. The Gavrikov situation is one that the Rangers fan base needs to pay very close attention to over the next several weeks, because it could be the domino that triggers a much bigger chain reaction. Now, not every move Chris Drury is going to make has to be a universe-shifting blockbuster. There are also some very real and very actionable targets at the forward position that make a ton of sense for this team right now. Two names keep coming up in Rangers circles: Seattle Kraken forward Jared McCann and Columbus Blue Jackets winger Kirill Marchenko, both of whom are reportedly available. Let's start with McCann because the fit is almost too obvious. McCann is a proven scorer. He posted 20 goals and 40 points in just 52 games last season, and he has 3 straight seasons of 61-plus points on his resume, including a 40-goal, 70-point campaign back in 2022-23. The Rangers currently have a very clear gap at second-line left wing, and McCann fits that void almost perfectly. You could also argue for sliding him in alongside Dorofeyev and Zibanejad on the top line, which would instantly elevate New York's offensive identity. The debate inside Ranger circles is whether Drury has the assets left to get it done after already trading away significant future capital for Dorofeyev. Some analysts are firmly against it, saying the Rangers can't keep giving away their future. Others point out that McCann is a proven scorer in his prime and that you don't pass on those opportunities. Then there's Marchenko out